Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast, kicking off with the Bom Dia Daily. A little bit of news, weather, language and culture, and a bit of well-being. Got a great exercise tip for you this morning. How are you doing? Do let me know in the chat. We have a few gumpers here already. Deagle's in, Bom Dia Carl, and gumpers from a very wet Belfast. But overnight, a major storm to batter Ireland and UK, strongest winds from the 1987 major UK storm. That's amazing. I was out and about driving in that in 1987. Nothing too bad, fortunately, happened to me and mine at that time. But yeah, I do remember driving around in 1987, just as it was kicking off and making my way home. So it's as strong as that, is it, at the moment? My goodness. What a time. What a time to be alive. Turbulence in the weather and on the political stage and pretty much everywhere, it would appear. But not everywhere, right? Not everywhere, not here. An oasis of calm of a morning between 8 and 9. We'll see what Heather and Colin can do about that as well when they join me at 8:20 and 8:40 respectively is what I meant to say. But I guess if I keep collapsing words together like that, the show will be done in half the time. That's not my intention. Jackie, good morning to you. Missed you. We didn't see you on Tuesday, did we? Did you watch the replay? Good to see you here. Hope everything's turning out okay. And the Welsh invasion continues here, Borada, and some pictures that Coach Turner sent me to show off, to prove the connection between Portugal and Wales. So we've got a Borada, boys, and a Merched Sudwiti. I could be saying anything here. Sudwiti, possibly. Oh, and there's that nice offer to the community here from Gilda. Her sister's opened some accommodation, a lovely looking place in the Alentejo. And we've got a 5% discount as Gumpers. And I'll show you some pictures of this lovely place as well. Thanks, Gilda, for thinking about us. Coach Turner, bom dia a todos e feliz quinta, tudo bem? Oh, yeah, the news this morning told off about how there are 7 tolls, at least, that have been terminated. I've got news on 7 of them I neglected to report on earlier on in the year. I think it's quite a nice little news story, that drivers being described as what is it, joy, full of joy and relief. I don't know if we go quite that far, but it's quite nice, isn't it, not to have to pay the tolls in certain places now, which I think were deemed unconstitutional or illegal, basically unlawful according to EU law. The pie worked out. I've got a picture of a pie. There's all sorts of pie and pastel themes brewing this morning, training and coaching this afternoon, evening. The pie worked out well and got the thumbs up from Mrs. T, so all good. Oh, I would have loved a slice of that last night with a nice homemade curry. Mrs. M, thanks to our friend Pretty, knows how to make a really nice curry sauce, a base from scratch. So I had a really nice curry last night, and I made some chips in a British style. More on the heights of British cuisine to follow. Bon dia from the man in the Minho, Tony time. Is it a moist Minho? It's a moist Valenza this morning. Who doesn't like? Happy Thursday, Feliz Quinta, everybody. JP's in from Porto as well. Mel's in too. Simply Live. João Ernesto, Bom Dia Portugal, and Capricorn Chris and Hugh as well. On the way to the Big Smoke. Well, I hope you're having a nice journey into that fabulous city of yours over there. It is a remarkable city, is it not? A morning from Hugh and from Mike as well. Point taken about the Portuguese, Mike. We had our resident lefty on yesterday morning, though. I don't know if you saw the doc yesterday. How many days per year are we able to get a very wet Belfast? Yes, have you not heard? It's 300 days of rain. We have 300 days of sunshine. That's why Deagle likes coming over here. It's like we're twinned with Belfast, but, the other way around. Right. This news story then, kicking off with the news about the tolls. And I've also got something quite disturbing from a cultural point of view, which I want to share with you as well. Coming back to that in just a moment when we do a little bit more culture, Portuguese culture as part of the Bom Dia Daily. 7 tolls terminated in Portugal. This was circulating around the start of the year when, of course, we were not broadcasting So let me bring that onto the screen now. This is a news source I don't often feature, but it can be useful from time to time. So thank you very much to the Euro Weekly News and Views since 1998. I don't know who that is. Let's get rid of him, whoever he is. Focus. It's very difficult now, isn't it, looking at a news website, because it's just covered in adverts and, well, bad news, obviously, from time, mostly, and the occasional bit of useful information, which is one of these here. A 1-minute read from Connor Morpurgo. It's a great name, isn't it? We have 7 tolls terminated in Portugal. Terminator. What this means for travellers. A total of 7 tolls across Portugal are set to be axed in a bid to minimise costs in accessing various areas of the country, as well as network routes into areas outside of Portugal, bringing joy and relief to citizens. Last May, the Portuguese Assembly initially approved that 7 highways would no longer have tolls, which sparked fierce debate between opposing political parties. And I have the list for you. That's what you want to know, isn't it? The Socialist Party had advocated for an immediate removal of all said tolls, whereas the Conservatives voted to gradually reduce payments at the highways. Yes, highway robbery. The Socialist proposal was ultimately backed, and thus from the 1st of January, going back some 22 days now, we're 23 days into the new year, folks. How's it going? There will be 7 additional free highways in operation throughout the country. How about that? Is this happening anywhere near you? Oh, that's a nice little vignette from Visio. A vignette. Sourdough just about to go into the oven. That sounds fantastic, Hugh. Save me a slice, if you will. Pies, loaves. Isn't this marvelous? Well done, Gumpers. Keep up the good work. Your recipes for bread as well. I saw one of those simple recipes for delicious crusty bread, and I thought I must send that to myself and do it. And I thought, what are you thinking? I don't have time to make bread, but maybe I do. Maybe I do. And Hugh is about to tell us, I think, how easy or not it might be to make your own bread at home. Some tolls were debated on if they should stay or go. The Porticos of Povoa, with a name like that, it's got to stay. And Naysayers to stay in operation, costing 70 cents and 50 cents to locals, respectively. Citizens can now utilize high-speed routes for free, where before they would have had to make much longer treks to avoid paying any costs to access other parts of Portugal and beyond. And I think that was why the EU were flexing their muscles. If I've got that right, if there's no other equivalent or similar route, like running the old road running alongside the new one, for example, if there's no suitable and massively not inconvenient alternative, it has to be a free road. And here they are. The list of tolls that have been axed now in 2025. The A4, love saying the names of these places in Portugal that I've yet to visit and look forward to visiting. This is great. The tags for this story are free travel, Portugal, socialist tolls and travel. The A4, Transmontana and Túnel do Mourão. The A13, that's the A13-1, Pinhal Interior. A22 in the Algarve. That was the particularly scandalous or controversial one, was it not? A23, the Beira Interior. A24, the Interior Norte. The A25 or 25, Beiras Litoral and Alta, and the A28, Minho in sections between Esposende and Antas and between Neiva and Dark. There you go. Ensure you keep up to date with the latest news from Portugal here. There you go. That's the Euro Weekly News, which I think, looking at the phone number for it, I'll put the link in the chat so you've got that list if you want it. I think this is mainly news and sales. The code is 34. That's Spain, is it not? So anyway, the link going in. You're very welcome. That's told off our Bom Dia Daily news snippet this morning. If you want to investigate that further or find out more about Euro Weekly News, if that is not on your radar. Right. Come back. We'll conclude with the weather before we speak to Colin in about 10 minutes. My best mate is one of the world's top sourdough artisans, apparently. All I can say is bread is lush with a bit of Lurpak. What is not good with a bit of Lurpak? Most things in life could benefit from a slather of is it Danish butter? Morning, everyone, from Gabby as well. Good morning to you, Gabby. Yeah, must mention the next. What's it called now? Is it called the Expat Circle? Oh, a quick blast of let's have Phil sing to us. You've got to subscribe to get the whole message. But this is what Phil will do for you every morning. I love this, and I start singing it myself. Here we go.
Good morning, it's time to stop my yawning.
There we go. He tells you he loves you every morning. It's fantastic. Fillmycup.com, I believe, is where you can subscribe to that. Good morning. I really must stop my yawning. Right, where was I going? Gabby, yes. I'm trying to find the graphic for the next event at the Storytellers. Quite a lot of WhatsApp messages here. So, isn't that the way for everybody? I can't see that right now. Perhaps you could send that to me, Gabby, and I'll save it. It might be the easiest way this morning. If you're still there, perhaps send me the graphic for the next gathering, the next lunch at the Storytellers. I think we'll see you there, Mike, will we not? Tolls were one of the well-spent taxes. Portugal has some of the best roadway infrastructure in the EU. You can get it to yourself. Without tolls, the roadways will deteriorate significantly over time. So, João Ernesto, a fan of that. Presumably, though, John, they will still be funded. They will still have to be maintained at taxpayer expense. And not all tolls are going, are they? So maybe they'll average it out. And we need, well, parts of the AA aren't a toll, are they? That little bit between Tornado and Caldas, you can jump on and jump back off again. We need to lobby for removal on that's the point here, Mel, is that if there's one that runs alongside it, is it a 242? No, maybe it is a 242. Or the N8 perhaps. If there's one running alongside, they don't have to take away the cost, I think. Pete's in, Jackie, João Ernesto, we love our toll-free roads here. The roadways are awesome and far better for no one on them. It's really amazing. And the services as well, right? The service is fantastic. Message to you, Chris, from Pete. Hope you have an awesome day off to get your coffee from your very own barista while I try to burn mildly moist olive prunings. Proving a little bit difficult. Has Chris got his own barista in the office here? That's all right, isn't it? Yay, A13 from Mike. It's toll free now. We can travel from Tomar to Coimbra. That's a good one, isn't it? Fantastic. Thanks for that little nugget there, Mike. And I did laugh when. He's here. He's here to answer the pushback against the far right curious Portugueser. It will be fairer now. People who don't drive will have to contribute to maintenance. People who don't drive. It will be fairer now. People who don't drive will have to contribute to maintenance. Is it as simple as that? I wonder. Or is that a typo? Or is that sarcasm? He's up early, you see. He gets to be sarcastic much quicker in the day than we do. If that's indeed what that was. But I suspect you're saying people who don't drive shouldn't have to pay taxes towards. I mean, that is a can of worms, isn't it? It's like the people who don't have kids paying for the education of other children. It's about the society, Portuguese, and not our selfish little interests. Bom dia, solar life from Jackie. Right, where was I going to go next? I don't know. Of the Alan Tay show, cultural. Yes, cultural. It's a bit of news, it's a bit of culture, and hopefully a bit of language and pronunciation there as well. Colin limbering up behind the scenes, limbering up too for our gig on the 15th of February, where he's going to do a few gags. They say the old ones are the best ones, and he's going to be proving that to us on the 15th of February. Right, let's go to the picture, the pictures that Gilda has sent to us. Her sister and brother-in-law. Oh, where's it gone? Hold on a minute. Let me just get this right and concentrate and stop giggling here. Right, that should be it now. Oh, here we go. Would you like to stay here? Because if you would, we can get you 5% off. This place is the Casa de Pedra, does it say there? I think it does. And this is Gilda's sister and brother-in-law's place. Yeah, Casa de Pedra. They've done it up beautiful. Look at this. It's got natural rocks as part of the landscape there. Almost like a cromlech. I was going to show you the pictures there. The Welsh invasion continues now with Colin joining us in a few minutes. It's a nice looking breakfast. Oh boy. Why do I always show pictures of food and talk about food first thing in the morning when I haven't had anything to eat yet. I'm loving that pool. You can have a dip and you can have your breakfast. There you go. There's the little pool there. That's nicely done, isn't it? A couple of nice sun lounges next to it. Beautifully framed olive tree in the garden there. Pool looking good at night as well. So well done. I don't know her name, Gilda's sister, but it's a lovely spot, isn't it? And look at that traditional Portuguese grill, outdoor kitchen right there. That looks fantastic. It's like got the moon over there. It has the moon over the chimney. How about that? So Casa de Pedra, 5% off. Drop me a line if you'd like to go and stay in the Alentejo. I don't know exactly where it is in the Alentejo, but you're under the great big blue sky of the Alentejo right there. And staying with rocks in the garden, Portugal has had rocks in the garden for many, would it be thousands of years? And Coach Turner sending us pictures of such. Imagine if you found them in your back garden. You could turn that into a nice feature, couldn't you? You could probably tell the time if you knew how to decode it at the right time of year as well. These are cromlechs, are they not? Standing stones. And the coach sent me these because I think he photographed these himself. Mate, are some of these in that looks like Wales rather than Portugal? Can't remember what you said when you sent me the message, but there you go. Standing stones, and they might be connected under the earth. They might be portals. They might be Celtic portals. That's the way. Don't worry about toll roads. If you know how to stand on these, you can end up in Wales if you rub the wrong thing. And that's probably not the first time that sentence has been uttered. You can end up in Wales if you rub the wrong thing. Colin's probably told one or two young ladies that in his time as well. Welcome to the Good Morning Portugal show, where we're in the Bom Dia Daily. Let's have a look at the... Oh, no, before we go to the weather, cultural outrage. Well, first of all, look at that. There's sourdough loaves being made. There are pies were made and eaten. I don't think that looks like that anymore. That is just an empty bowl now at Casa Turner. The Welshman, the Welsh wizard with the pastry right there. And I got a little bit of trolling from Vitor Costa, who asked me if I moved to Portugal because of this. Is this why you moved to Portugal? Apparently, it's a picture here of somebody watering pies. Pies are watered to add more gravy and wet the dough. Now, I think this is taken out of context, and someone's put on it, English people season their food with water, LMAO. And there might be a little bit of truth in that. And let's face it, the great thing about English food is it's mostly not English. That's perhaps one of the best things. I mean, there are a few brilliantly classic English dishes, aren't there? Bangers and mash and fish and chips, but that's not truly English, is it? I don't think. Don't the Portuguese take some credit for us having fish and chips? Anyway, all this to say, yeah, we do take a little bit of stick around the world. I say we. I can't take any responsibility for English cooking. But pies are watered to add more gravy and wet the dough. I don't suppose, Coach Turner, you did that. And I think it's probably a little bit of moisture, and wetting your dough first thing in the morning or any time of the day is not a bad thing. You do need to glaze your crust from time to time. Colin's trying to eat as well while I'm talking about glazing your crust. And on to this. I was a little bit disturbed by the correct way to eat a pastel de nata. The identity of the person who does this has been taken out of the picture to protect their identity. Is that the correct way to eat a pastel de nata? I think we should write to the ambassador about this. I don't know. It's not the easiest or most elegant thing to eat, and it's a real test of your deportment and your finishing school credentials in how you eat a flaky pastel de nata. But to go straight in with your coffee spoon like that, I think is a little bit vulgar, quite honestly. What do you think about how do you eat yours? How do you nosh your nata, so to speak? Nata good look, you might also say with that. So yeah, how do you nosh your nata this morning? Quick look at the weather then. Let's find the Spartan FX weather, everybody. The weather is like currency because ... fill in the blanks. And I'm going to the weather page now, and how do you nosh your nata? That could run and run, could it not? Let's bring on to the screen the weather. this morning and see what's going on. And it's continued to pee down. That is not a technical or meteorologically correct description, but my gosh, Caixa Gatos definitely around Portugal. I had to unblock my drain last night, and I don't mean that as a pun, or some sort of innuendo. Definitely out in the front garden, unblocking the drain late last night. Very busy day yesterday generally. Porto, what is up with you with your sunshine today? There's going to be a bit of sunshine, clear sky. 8 at the moment, rising to 14, but still weather, still wet weather. So take out your brolly, your guarda-chuva under your arm. Take your brolly, if you will. Still rain forecast pretty much everywhere. Be careful out there with all that wet weather and water everywhere. Lisbon, 14 degrees. Broken clouds, currently the high of 18. Porto, look at that bit of sunshine. We had some sunshine here yesterday as well, actually. It was a day of sunshine yesterday, despite it being very wet as well, and several centimetres, I think, of rain. Coimbra, 9 degrees with scattered clouds at the moment. 18 the high. That's a very comfortable and nice high in Coimbra. The wet weather is bringing a mildness as well, of course, and temperatures. Faro, 17 the high, 15 degrees with scattered clouds at the moment. And Braga, 10 degrees at the moment with scattered clouds, rising to a magnificent 17. And generally speaking, yeah, rainy day all around the country. And in the autonomous regions, 14 degrees with broken clouds in the Azores, rising to 18. And Madeira, a little bit cooler as it is sometimes. 6 degrees with scattered clouds at the moment. Madeira, 10 degrees the high. That's your weather with Spartan FX. Don't forget, if you want to change your wonga from your dollars into your euros and pounds into euros and other currencies, spartanfx.co.uk. You can open up a free account. Let's give them a let's give them a massive round of applause as we turn over to the Good Morning Portugal show. In fact, the Go Motoring Portugal show. And so, Colin, let me just take you off and actually do that correctly and play the theme tune that we worked so hard on. Stand by. We'll be right back with you. Olá Bom Dia, Colin.
Morning.
Got there in the end, didn't we?
We certainly did. Yeah, as they say.
How are you this morning? How's this new year treating you?
Yeah, it's too early to tell, isn't it? Really. I mean, next week will be my yearly ski trip, so that will be treating me very well. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Where are you off to?
A place called Arosa in Switzerland. It's one side of the mountain is this particular resort. The other side is Davos.
You're a bit late for Davos, aren't you?
No, this is the week of Davos. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're not there this week in your private jet?
No.
Right, okay. You're going to be going to calm down a bit.
I once went to Davos skiing, and it was fabulous because everybody was in the town and there was nobody on the slopes. It was amazing. You had all these Mercedes S-classes with the girls with fur coats coming out, and they didn't look like the delegates' wives at all.
They were probably just friends of the delegates, were they not?
Yeah, they must have been. Yeah, but there was a lot of them.
We seem to have scorn and disdain for those who go to Davos at a certain time of year, but not for you. You're going skiing. That's fantastic. And that is a long-standing tradition, isn't it, in which you partake?
This will be I think it's the 36th year that this group have been going.
Oh.
Last year, there was 33 others. One person brought their son who was 24 or 25. Another person brought their daughter who was 29. And it took the average age of the group down to 69.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll keep up the good work. And their loss, I understand it, is our gain on the 15th of February because your party piece, your routine didn't go down especially well, did it last year on the
Oh
ski?
no, there was one woke lady. There was one 70-year-old woke lady that told me off for having. She
Some
said
of your
you've got to
material.
change it. It's not your audience. You need to change your material.
Oh my word! Okay, ouch,
Yeah.
ouch. Okay, so if you want to hear those
Yeah.
jokes that lady was offended by, join us on the 15th of February at the Casa de Lem cocktail bar, where Colin will be sharing a few of those. Are you? Did you see the good news about the toll roads being terminated? Not, that people don't have to pay on
I
some
think
of these.
isn't that only the Algarve?
No, they're all over the country. If you watch the
Oh.
replay, or I'll send you the
Oh.
link. Actually, yes, good news
Oh,
all
I
over.
thought it was just the Algarve. Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
the one that they've been wanting to remove for a long time now, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Because there aren't other suitable alternatives. They've done that now, and
Yeah.
they've added a few others to it as well. So, yeah, what's on your mind with Go Motoring Portugal this year? You want to have a look at the open road ahead of us, right?
I need to start really with December last year, because there was a big announcement in December for the car industry that the Stellantis group, and Stellantis is just the group name of, in America, they've got Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, and their sales in America were 15% down. Whereas some other manufacturers were 4 or 5% up, so that's quite a phenomenal amount that they're down.
Yeah.
In the UK, they have Vauxhall, which obviously in Europe is Opel. They have in Europe Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Peugeot, and Citroen.
Okay, so they own quite. This is the it's not an oligarchy, is it? But it's a corporate kind of takeover of the motoring industry.
Yeah. Right. It's probably the 4th largest manufacturer in the world.
Right. Okay.
And
that's some power, isn't it? That's serious power.
And the CEO was a Portuguese gentleman.
He was,
called Carlos Travers.
You say was? Has he been fired now because of the recent performance of the group? Oh, you seem to have frozen up there.
Are you back? Yeah. Carlos Travers, who is Portuguese, he was due to retire, I think, at the end of 25 or early 26. He resigned in December 2024.
Right.
Now, the stock had gone down amazingly, and he was trying to reduce the numbers of cars sold but increase the profit. And in fairness, you have to have the product to justify that.
Yes, good point. Yeah.
So the poor Portuguese guy has now gone, and currently they're looking for a new CEO, and they have a guy called John Elkin, who is not very well known for the name, but he is the grandson of Fiat Mr. Agnelli.
Is he really?
Yeah,
that's a heavy hitter from the old days, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's currently running it whilst they're looking for a new CEO.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's the stock.
Look at that
stock price.
Look at that stock.
Yeah, and interestingly, over on the other side of the screen, Nissan are up, and Neo Incorporated. I don't know who they are, but General Motors down. Tesla is down as well. So what's going on, generally speaking, then? What do you make of that, then, for the future for Stellantis and, generally speaking, the car-making world?
I sincerely hope they survive because they pay my pension.
Right. Okay. Total transparency and authenticity there from Colin Ross.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the car industry for 2025, it's not the make your mind up year whether we go electric or whether we stay with hybrid or whatever, or even hydrogen. That's still in the mix of the Betamax and the VHS. It's still that problem.
It is, isn't it?
It is. There is a mandate from the EU that good morning, Hugh and Jane. There is a European mandate that all manufacturers have to produce 25% of their production has to be zero emissions.
Right. Okay.
And if they don't, that the UK equivalent is each manufacturer for a car that they make or sell over the 25%, under the 25%, they have to pay the equivalent of £5,000.
What an unattractive
vehicle.
time to be a car manufacturer.
Well, yes, I mean the governments are telling them what to do, and to be fair, they're trying, but they're 20 years behind the Chinese, who've been doing it for 20 odd years. And now what's happening also for these manufacturers is that they're losing massive sales in China, where people like BMW, Mercedes were making all their profits.
Right. Okay. Well, Pete, as not surprisingly, has a view on this. A confirmed Tesla driver. They do make absolutely awful cars, and maybe he's talking about Stellantis there, and they do deserve to go bust. That's harsh, isn't it? But I guess that is the reality. It's a big boy game, isn't it? Tesla will have a monopoly not only on cars, but phones fairly soon. I didn't know about Tesla phones. Good God. What, is it shaped like one of those trucks? It's slipping in your pocket nicely. Hydrogen is a complete snake oil, says Pete, which I don't think you would agree with, would you necessarily?
No.
Traditional car makers do make terrible cars, as do BYD. That's the Chinese electric manufacturer, isn't it? If they just tried to build for electric rather than bodge up existing frames, is Pete's view on that?
Correct. Correct.
So that's your view then. It's not make or break, choose one way or the other. I guess that keeps the story alive, doesn't it? Making people, are you an electric person? Are you a petrol head? That just keeps things on the page, doesn't it?
The 2025 car of the year is actually the reborn Renault 5, which is purely electric.
Is that car of the year? I thought the Kia that we nearly.
No, that was last. That's what was last year's.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
This year it's the Renault 5,
which we did feature.
And I say,
nice looking car.
Yeah, and it's a reborn. They're also reborn the Renault 4. They made a Renault 4 retro. They're all going retro, really. Citroen are bringing.
Yes.
Yeah. Citroen are bringing back this 2CV as an electric, modern-looking car. So I don't know whether
Capri, Colin, that picture I sent you of the Capri that looks like a Porsche now.
Yeah, the Capri. I mean, they've made a massive mistake by making a 4-door or a 5-door SUV and calling it a Capri. But that not the picture you sent me is probably what will eventually be the Capri, which is a coupe, good-looking coupe.
It's not a family car. It's a car in which you make a family, not drive a family around. Isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I should think many people have done exactly that.
Yes, and I'm surprised there aren't more children called Capri, for example. You're getting a skiing tip from Gabby. Thank you, Gabby, as well for sending in the details of the Storytellers Expat Circle lunch. €25 a person, 29th of January that'll be. So thank you very much for that. And you should go to Arlberg in Austria, where Gabby comes from.
We were there last year in Lech. Okay. Yeah.
All right, very good. So he's a very experienced skier. He knows all these places.
We never really go back to the same place year after year, but we've been now twice to Lech, and that was the second trip. I think the first one was very soon after Bridget Jones' Diaries came out, where they used Lek as the background.
Is that right? The things you know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's surprising
Well,
we did so badly in the pub quiz, isn't it? When we know so much
well,
between us.
no, but I'm full of rubbish, aren't I? I mean, the things I know is not
never
going to
know
be
when
put in a quiz, are they?
that's possibly not. Which ski resort was
No.
featured in Bridget Jones's diary? I think that's a quiz question.
Yeah.
So what else? What else have
Yeah.
you got for us then, from a motoring point of view? We do want to go to
Well,
Benacar, don't we? We need to get our date in the
we
diary
do.
in March for Benacar. Yeah.
I'm actually there at 10:30 today. No, 11 o'clock. I'm there with Tom.
Yeah.
We're going to be test driving a number of cars
Are you?
to see what his wife likes.
Right,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. Okay. And this is a service you offer. You will accompany people to Benacar, which has. I mean, tell us a little bit about Benacar. You had told me about it, and I was thinking, well, that's interesting. It just sounds like a car showroom. It's kind of much more than that, isn't it? Yeah, and you have to go there to believe it. And when we when we
Yes.
do fix a date, people will be able to come along and see
Yeah.
exactly why
Yeah.
we're so excited about the place. What is it? What is it you can do for people in relation to Benacar, then, Colin?
Well, at the end of the day, they have on display 2,000 odd cars.
Right.
So if you don't really know what to buy or why you should buy a certain car, then somebody like me can help narrow that down, and you're not spending all day there looking at various cars, thinking, well, I like the white one, I like the red one. But it's like, if you're moving to Portugal, more often than not, you're a retiree, yes?
Yes.
Or you're a nomad, which means that you're working from home. So you really shouldn't be buying a diesel, which is the prevalent engine type in Portugal. There's more diesels than anything else.
All right.
And they're not suitable for small journeys.
Yep.
Okay, good old Gabby.
You've been distracted by Gabby's request there. Okay, well, let's talk about that. You will have great fun if you go and have a look at some of the motors at Benacar. You'll have a great time, and we will be going there. Well, sorry, I interrupted you, or Gabby interrupted us there with her request, Gabby, which we will gladly help you with there. But yeah, you can basically walk people around and give them a little bit of insight. For example, when Savika Anna was on the show a couple of days ago, she was having terrible trouble with her Peugeot. You're the sort of bloke, when you're walking around a place like that, you say, you don't want to touch that because the engine in that is a stinker and causes all sorts of problems. And you can help people avoid such pitfalls that poor old Savika Anna Caramujo fell into.
Yeah. Well, one hopes so, but that, they are a mechanical device with many, many mechanical things on them. And this is one of the benefits of really with the electric car. There's so little can go wrong with them. They don't need servicing. They hardly use their brakes.
Yeah.
People are saying, no, they're wearing tires out. But, if you put the cost of ownership of an electric car to the cost of ownership of a ICE car, then the electrics are far cheaper to run. But currently, the used car prices on electrics aren't favorable, because it's like, who wants to buy a 3-year-old computer?
Yes.
Not many people.
Well, the worst thing that can happen with an electric car is how people perceive you after you've bought it. But anyway, enough about electrics and that great debate, which I'm sure will rage on every time you're here. And hydrogen, I suspect will come back into the frame at some point. And we will fix that date to have a lad's visit, women welcome as well, to Benacar in March. We'll have lunch and we'll go to their fantastic museum of motor cars as well. So it is not just like another one of those stands by the road, is it? This is an amazing place. It's a gallery of cars.
Well, that is the benefit of purchasing from a place like that, is that you go along any road and you'll see these little stands, and you go a year later and some of them are gone.
Yeah, don't know who you're dealing with either, do you?
So you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know the history of the cars. In a place like Benny Cars, where you walk in and you have a receptionist, it's like going into a first-class hotel.
It is. It really is, isn't it?
It is. And then
you're made to feel special on from the get-go.
Yeah. And then you walk in and you just see these fantastically prepared cars in a beautiful surrounding. It blows your mind. And, that's where I should come in to say, well, don't get overexcited about all the stock. Let's try and narrow it down to what you want.
Yeah. Okay.
And what you need.
We will fix the date up and we'll have an outing there, probably a lunchtime, and have some fun over there and hang out with some of our mates at Bennycar. Anything else to share with us? Heather's joining us in just a moment. I mean, there is have you got some other snippets for the year ahead?
Last weekend, I was privileged to go to the Stirling race circuit, where they had the GT4 and the GT3s racing. And my brother Alan, who when he was at the Gatwick Airport in the lounge waiting to be waiting for his flight, got talking to this group of people wearing McLaren jackets, and he said, "Oh, you're going testing?" No, we're racing in Stirling. So we turned up, and they invited us into the garage and showed us everything, and it was phenomenal. They were driving they're two fathers who have decided that their sons want to become professional racing drivers.
Brilliant.
One was called Callum Davis, is one young lad, and the other was Charlie Hart.
Right.
And they literally just passed their tests, I think. They're 16 or 17-year-olds or whatever. And they qualified fourth and finished third.
Amazing. Good lads.
And the GT3 class is it's basically a road-going car just converted to racing. But boy, oh boy, could they handle that car.
That's amazing. So they just passed their test, but it sounds like they might have been driving for a little bit longer than that since they were little kids, by the sound of it.
Callum had been to a friend's birthday party where they did indoor karting, and I think he was 11 or 12 at the time, so he took to it very late. Yeah.
And was it great to be at Estoril? It's a good track, isn't it?
It's an interesting track, yeah. And it was the only day that it was glorious sunshine.
Fabulous, perfect weather
conditions. It was great. It was great.
GT3s and GT4s. There's a little bit of a grammar thing here that John wanted some help with. Is there a difference between the Brit usage of the words whilst versus while? I hear both, and I know that the former is supposedly more formal, but I hear it often in informal situations too. Very helpful, Pete. Whilst tends to be used as opposed, this is what we just said, Colin, right? And while, as on the other hand, the nuances of the language are a lot more flexible than Welsh and Portuguese. Basically, if you're English, if you say things with a lot of force and quite loudly, that tends to help, I think, is the way.
Yeah, but whilst is the past tense, whereas while is...
Oh, that's another way of
current.
Very
well,
good.
It is.
Right, yes, yeah. Okay. Is that something you remember from school?
School. Yeah, it's back there. It's back there somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Past and present tense. That might be a way of having it in your mind as well. They're very good. The things you learn here on the Good Morning Portugal show. T-Duck's back from shopping, having enjoyed a bit of a discount at Continent this morning. And let's take a look at before you go, Colin. Would you like to see Hugh's sourdough? Come on, you can't resist.
Can't resist that.
You can't resist that, can you? There it is. Oh, I say, okay. It looks a little bit more appetizing by the time it's got
there.
Yeah, how about that? And we have eaten in that kitchen, haven't we? And had a fantastic time.
We certainly have.
Well done, Hugh and Jane. Have a great day over there. Do you have a final message for us on this, the first Go Motoring Portugal episode of the year? Hopefully, we will be trying more vehicles this year, will we not, Colin? That's if the salesman actually have the car when we turn up to do it. Unlike Kia naming and shaming this morning. So, what have we got planned for this year as well as Benikar? What have we got? What have you set your sights on?
I'm going to be trying some of the Hyundais.
Okay.
Or Hyundai, or however they want to pronounce it these days.
Yes.
And the Renault 5 version of the hot version is called the Alpine, the Alpine A290. I'm in process of trying to persuade them to lend us a car.
That I look forward to. It's one of my first cars was an orange Renault 5, so it'll be fantastic. I haven't got any photographs, unfortunately, but that'll be lovely to do. We've got Heather waiting, Colin. I look forward to seeing you probably at the Casa de Lem cocktail bar, where we'll be having our Good Times weekend. It's going to be a fabulous weekend, sandwiched by the Caldas de Rainha Beer Festival as well. Join us for that. So thank you very much, Colin Ross-Jones. Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Have a great time skiing as well. Let's keep that applause going, shall we? And bring Heather onto the screen. Olá, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Bom dia. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Just chatting about motors there with Colin. You happy with the vehicle you've purchased here in Portugal?
Yes, I got a VW Golf, and
reliable.
Yeah, but it's funny because my husband, he hates it. Because he can't see out of it very well because he's tall. So it's like he's too tall for it, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
But I needed something kind of low to the ground because I had a Honda CR-V in the US and it was hard for my mom to get into. She had to kind of like climb up it. It wasn't that big, but it was. So I wanted a little bit lower to the ground, normal sort of car for her. But yeah, it's zippy. It gets around, does its job.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And people do have their favorites, don't they? I heard that people who buy Honda Jazzes tend to keep buying them. And I think it's probably quite a similar vibe when you've had a VW and you've got your Golf. You might keep buying those as well, notwithstanding some of the publicity they've had in recent years. Anyway, Heather, let's first talk about what's going on in the world of visas from your point of view at Boots on the Ground Portugal. And then we will address some of this bad press stuff. There seems to be not only an increase in the vociferousness and prevalence of those expat victim support groups that we see on social media, but more of these terrible videos. I think they're awful and very misleading. But Lisbon has fallen. It's such a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it? But there's something we might have a little bit of a look at later on in our conversation. But Ima, formerly Seth, things seem to be changing for the better, do they not? How's that as an experience for you from your end of things, and how you're involved in that process for people?
Well, it's plugging along. Some people, some of our clients have gotten their cards as fast as 9 days after their IMA appointments, but then we have other clients that are, waiting months and months. So it's just very inconsistent. And same with getting appointments, whether they come automatically with the visa or not, it's just been very inconsistent. And that's frustrating. And then we have clients getting visas coming with appointments that are then sooner than other people that have been, came without and are waiting, So it just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And well, the thing is, unless you want to spend the money and hire an attorney and have them actually work on suing IMA, aside from doing the complaint book, it's pretty much hurry up and wait, and so it is what it is. But but it's more the banks than anything lately that have just been driving me a little batty. A lot of the banks have increased the minimum deposits they want to see. They've the bank I worked with stopped doing remote openings. So now I have to get people either to go to an embassy in the area where they live or wherever they're at to sign, or when they come to Portugal, I can get them to sign in person. And so I do the setup and everything ahead of time. So I have all their docs, but they have to do that finalization, which is just frustrating.
Yeah.
There are a couple companies that are still being able to do online, but it's just, it's just the increase in difficulty is there. It's stepped up a little bit, and
Right,
it's
okay.
taking a lot longer. So if people are out there, need to do bank accounts, get them going early.
Very good. Okay, so in summary, then, with IMA, it sounds like if you're lucky, they're getting their act together. They're processing more people and they're slashing the pile, as it were, because they had nearly 500,000 cases to deal with, didn't they? However,
well, that's
not
misleading.
consistent. Is it? Okay, go on.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. They didn't have like 500,000 people like us
Queuing
there.
up.
They had.
Yeah.
I mean, 370,000 of those applications were expressions of interest. Expressions of interest aren't actually visas. They're people coming from wherever saying, "Hey, I want to, work in Portugal. I want to do something in Portugal," and then just showing up.
Yes.
So it's basically illegal immigration because a lot of those people have disappeared. I mean, there's legitimate people coming through that have come through that way, I'm sure, but I don't know any of them. All they're not coming through on residency visas like
Okay.
Like clients we help, doing D7, D8, D2, D1, those kind of visas. So I think that the 400,000 is misleading because the huge chunk of those is those other folks who still need processing, but it's different. So it's just yet another headline that grabs people's attention and gets them to click.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. S. I think picking up on what you were saying about if you've got a lawyer working for you, I think it was a small window, wasn't there, where the threat of being sued might have moved things along. But however, so many people are suing IMA now that they just have to join the back of the queue. So it's not really a useful way of moving things forward, is it?
I don't recommend it. But people ask because they're frustrated, but there's nothing you can really ultimately do. That's when I talk to people now and do my consults, I do the free consults to talk to folks, and I explain to them, pretty much your first 10 months to a year, you want to be in Portugal. Like you're going to need to be in Portugal because you're not going to have as much flexibility. Now there's the few workarounds to that here and there, but ultimately that's something people need to be prepared to kind of commit to is riding out these delays in processing. But I did see somewhere that they're trying to catch up by this summer. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that's legit and they get there.
That was the target. That was the target, wasn't it? Okay, so thank you for that roundup, and anticipate a little bit of trouble, possibly not trouble, but delay when it comes to opening bank accounts. It's funny, isn't it, how these different parts of the fine Swiss watch of migration, there's so many moving parts and so many variables at the moment. Banking seems to be a little bit of a tricky part of that. Anything else before we move on about the processes and how you're helping people?
We're just really just had a big uptick, of course, since the election of folks. I don't know, our business is up like crazy. So we're really, we're processing and helping people through it. And we do hear, I couldn't do this without you. We don't know how we would do this without you. I do hear that on a regular basis, which is nice. It's nice to be appreciated. And these days, I would agree. It's just gotten very specific and particular and all sorts of points. So,
very good. Okay, well, keep going. Keep up the great work, Heather. Oh, and how is the menagerie? How are the pets there? How's everyone doing?
They're doing pretty well. Yeah, healing up from all the things. So, the cat's back to eating his dry food with no teeth, and he's okay with that.
Oh, wow.
He gets wet food too, and I do soften it with water. But lately, like I put down the dry, and before I even get a chance to put water in it, he's like right on it. So
good man.
He's good.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Right, this thing then, bad press. Now, in many ways, there are all sorts of angles on this, aren't there? One of them, notably, I think, is Portugal's increasing number of articles that are spun in a little bit of a negative way. The victim support groups, as I have just my article that's coming out today in the Portugal Resident actually uses that phrase. The victim support groups that are in Facebook, that the reality of moving, what it's really like, and all that
propaganda, the propaganda one. I love that one.
All of that sort of stuff.
That one was being run. I don't know if it still is, but the woman that was running that does not live in Portugal and never has.
Doesn't surprise me. Me.
Yeah, Portugal propaganda. I don't know if she's still the one, but. I was a little shocked when I found that out. It's like, how and why are you running this?
It's a very good question. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good question. And it's a key question in the conversation we're having. It's like, who benefits? Why would they need it to be like this? What are we getting from this? And so not only those guys, but also the rising number of, yes. And I can just use those 3 words that sum up the genre I'm talking about. Lisbon has fallen. Now, that's not to say there aren't some social problems in Lisbon. Clearly there are. The other thing to say about that is there always have been, and we have our own sort of curves of consciousness and awareness, don't we? We have our Pollyanna phases when we're moving somewhere, and then we come a bit back down to earth. And there's also another axis, if you like, on this. It's part of Portugal being a victim of its own success and popularity. There are social trends happening in the world as well that all come together, so that when somebody wants to make a video, and I suspect they made the video from the title rather than thought to themselves, what shall I call this? I know what's going to get a lot of clicks. I'll call it Lisbon Has Fallen, and now I'm going to go and interview people in Martim Moniz to prove exactly that and get loads of eyeballs on this. Now, I think there's some balance to be struck here, and that's why I think it's worth talking about, because there are problems, and there are also ways of gaming YouTube to make a living. And I think those sorts of videos are the intersection of such things.
I agree to an extent. But I also, it reminds me so much of Phoenix, because I've come from real estate and was a real estate broker in Phoenix for 30 years. And it's the same thing. I mean, it's just whatever is sensational, It was the Californians and they're raising all the prices, and it's just like everybody wants somebody to blame.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
And let's blame the American expats.
Yes.
There's still only I don't know, maybe 13,000 of us or something like that. Now there was 10,000 last I knew. So, I mean, it's just, instead of digging deep into actual information, let's just be topical and take information that's not accurate. It's basically misinformation, and that's our world today. And so we need to all get better at actually vetting our sources and seeing what reality is. Of course, every country, every state, every whatever has its issues, and you're exactly right about that. So I think at the same time, I think a lot of things going on now are really global issues, like you said.
Definitely.
So it's not just like, immigration in one country is an issue. It's kind of like,
it's a global issue, always
all
has
over.
been. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got a new strapline for you. Heather Binder at Boots on the Ground Portugal. She will help you source a vet and vet your source.
Source a vet and vet your source.
Heather, you've got it all.
I have referred a vet or two. That is true.
Yes. Now, what I want to add to this is and this is what I write about today in the Portugal Resident. And the article is called "It's Not About Portugal." And the punchline, if I can, a bit of a spoiler alert, if I can give the punchline away, it's always about us in the end and how we're seeing things. So what occurred to me, because I in many ways I don't want to talk about what we're talking about this morning, because it's kind of negative and downward, and it's where do you go with it? So And with everything, there must be some kind of salvation or usefulness or educational purpose. And it's not good. It's not right to avoid things either, because that's kind of neurotic, isn't it? It's like, no, I don't want to talk about that. So here we are talking about it. And what occurred to me, what kind of popped up was like, why do I need it to be this way? And that's the question people might ask themselves. You know, what payoff do I get for seeing it in a certain way? And I think that's the thing with, you know, that pretty quickly describes what goes on YouTube. Why does that person need to see things that way and give it that title? Because it makes loads of money for them. And that's not to say they haven't got a little bit of an interest in the challenge of migration to begin with. But
sure.
I think what happens ultimately is another agenda comes in. You know, who benefits? How do I benefit? And that tends to be where things go ultimately. So I'm glad you kind of tabled that, and we've grasped the nettle of talking about this awkwardness. And I'm sure we will continue to do so. And you know, I think we've all got to figure out a personal way of dealing with it and not letting it get to us too much as well. And that's the big challenge, isn't it? To be fair, it can be quite consuming and difficult, the issues that we've touched upon today, wherever you live in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how things affect you or what the specifics are, you know.
Yeah.
And but I do think that that's another huge problem, which is the head in the sand. So that tends to be such a huge chunk of people, you know, because we're all busy and we have distractions and things going on. And so it's hard to, you can't have space for everything in your head, you know?
Yeah.
So you do have to pick and choose. Am I going to learn about this thing going on in the world, or am I not, you know? And I have the same issue. So I don't know, but I know when something affects you personally, that's your wake-up call, and that's when you're paying attention. Absolutely.
And it's hard to ignore that kind of call, isn't it? That comes from a deep place.
You know, you can't and you shouldn't, in my opinion. You know, my ancestors that ignored those calls, you know, died because of that. So pay attention.
Yes, and sorry, on that poignant and deep note, to trivialize things again, I was going to ask you how you nosh your nata, because I was quite disturbed by
that's
that.
the saddest looking nata I've ever seen.
Only because somebody's
why wouldn't you eat the crust? It's like
no, they're going to.
Part.
They're going to. They're saving the best till last. They've eaten the custard and they're coming back to that. But
they're doing like the Oreo thing where you take it apart, deconstruct.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
I do that with Oreos. So
I didn't want to ask your comment on that specifically. I thought this might be very useful as a way to conclude what we're talking about, and a well-being tip at the same time. So thank you, James, for this. I clipped this from social media yesterday. This might apply to quite a few people here. And it is a form of exercise. I get most of my exercise these days from shaking my head in disbelief. I think we might be able to concur with that. Heather, keep up the great work at Boots on the Ground Portugal, and we'll speak to you again real soon. Have a great day. And until we see you again. All right, take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao, everybody. And we'll see you tonight. Maybe on the webinars. Bye for now.